Well. Unfortunately, earlier or during the course of Power is Refinement, the beginning stage of this upload, it was cut short due to limited space and availability of the device I was using in order to record. Yet, where it is and how it is that we're going to get back to that is basically by going back in order to bring you to the present. And if you're wondering why it is that usually you don't see my face, well, that's basically due to the fact that these are the most common calming hours of the day, the beginning and the beginning of one's day and the time of day when one or before one lays to rest, when things seem to cease from their normal activity, that which would be the busyness or being busy carrying out one's day. If you're wondering for my race and ethnicity, if you've checked the channel out before, then you already know I'm one of the original people. And when I say original, I mean original by mindset more than anything, because during the course of time, we've all been watered down to some extent or another. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what it is that you tend to want to believe and or talk yourself into believing. We've all been watered down by sin. And we all know from reading and or hearing the fact that the body, or should I say, the flesh is weak. So the flesh has been adhering to the times, which is sin, that which we live in. Yet and still, that's a whole nother story, a whole nother category, which is all tied into the reality of that which is present. And we'll go on to say that that's life, you know what I'm saying? And in these days and times during the lives that we live, we experience so many differences. Yet, again, we'll talk about that and correlate that to the reality of time, life, and the essence of being later on, or as time prevails. Right now, we're going to get back to the question at hand. The question was earlier that was cut off or cut short during the course of the earlier or previous video, which was, can you see yourself outside of yourself? The question which was cut short was, do you see your brother as being part of your family ties? Your brother and your sister, or your siblings and your cousins as your uncles or your aunts? Because the true reality of the day is the fact that most people, or you will hear it said or stated, the fact that a person, just because someone is born in your family, they don't remain family. Well, one thing for sure and three things for certain: you can't cut off your blood circulation, and if you do that for ample amount of time, you gonna cut off your blood supply, you gonna cut off your air supply, and you gonna decease from living. Which I'll get into people calling themselves grown ass men and women, and I think I covered this before once upon a time. If you grown, then the only thing that you have to do after being grown is wither away and die. If you are not continuously grown, then you are not a continuing factor or a procedural factor of processing progression within these days and times. Because if you've grown and you have no more room for growth, and the reason that we was planted on this earth is to progress and grow. So, if you're a grown ass man or woman, then this might not apply to you, because you're so grown that you know everything. And if you know everything, then more power to you. Yet and still, there is so much more to be learned. So again, the question was, do you see yourself outside of yourself as being or having family ties to your siblings, your cousins, your uncles, your aunts, or your bloodline for that matter. And if you can't see yourself as being a part to or parti, and that's another word with another meaning according to Webster's Collegiate Dictionary, and still, if you can't see yourself being tied to your family, then that means you have untied yourself to the reality of the facts of life. Yet still, that's something to grow on. So again, if you've grown, then this might not pertain to you. We also talked about the unification through communication. If you have the inability to explicitly be explicable in your explanation of the way you feel and or the emotions that you go through during the day, then you are not progressing because well, not you, we are in doing that, holding on to and not letting go of the things we need to in order to grow. And while it is that I don't remain or look to remain stuck in the present and or the past, I do reflect on these things so that I can project a future, a better future, a future which entails progression, productivity, and prosperity. Yet these are my views, and you can disagree and or agree while being indifferent, and or you can be indifferent and disagree, however you wish to see these matters through. Yet and still the reality and the fact is these things continue to be a problem for us, by us, and with us. Because the fact that we want to see ourselves outside of ourselves while not being ourselves, meaning that the true nature of our being is to progress, proceed, and further that which has been given to us to prosper. Why is that? It is due to the fact that a lot of us wish to see our own truth and negate the facts that are before us. Simple and plain. We believe in his story and refuse to learn our story or be a part of our story. So therefore, we look to mimic the child and forget about being a part of the village. And the village, or not the old adage, but the cliche or the saying is, it takes a village to raise a child. Therefore, why is it that the children are raised in the village? And the growing, progressing adults and or add-ons to life are more so destructive as opposed to builders. We were put here to build. We were put here to create, to procreate, to again progress and proceed beyond that which we have so far in these days and times. It seems to me to be the fact that we are digressing as opposed to progressing. And the reason as to why, again, we are mimicking the child and forgetting the fact that it takes a village to raise a child. So therefore, we don't see ourselves as being a part of the village. We on some pirate shit. Pardon my language. We are on piracy. The same things which have formatted and grown to be the society in which most of us live in. I myself am a part of this Western Hemisphere, the wilderness of North America, to be exact. And While some may not agree and some may be opposed to the thoughts and things that are being said, the mindset that is being had, you're welcome to that, because most of us have opinions and most of us have our own perception. So that what you perceive may not be that which I see. That means that we are more likely D-alike as opposed to A-alike, so we can be alike and see alike. Meaning that we digress, we diverse, and we divert from the original origin of our own nature. And this is habit forming and unfortunately backslide. Now, so much so that over the last few years, me personally, I have heard and come to know that a lot of people tend to want to believe in the fact that we have to choose the lesser of two evils. Now, evil is live spelled backwards, so that means that that's back asswards. And if you choose to live backwards, then that means that you are digressing and not progressing. And progression is a natural part of the life that was orchestrated and built for us to live. I don't even want to go too far. Because I'm about to get very elaborate. And while I elaborate, some of you might get lost. Some of you may be on point. Yet, I'm going to leave you with that for the moment. You know, today is the God day of the 11th month, so that's 27, or wisdom God. That means born. Born means to bring things into existence. Born means to come out of a stage of non-existence into a stage of being or existing. That's peace, that's love, that's happiness. That's it for right now. I will get back to this a little bit later. Love, peace, and progressiveness. I forgot to say this in the beginning, but peace to the people who practice breathing, and breathing comes with a responsibility. And with that responsibility comes responsibility and accountability. Peace to the gods of the planet Earth. Peace to the earth here on the planet Earth. This being the third rock of the sun. This being 11/7/2020. Peace.